Welcome to the Black Knight Nation podcast, your source for the latest information about your Army Black Knights, with your host, Sal Interdonato.
Black Knight Nation, how's it going? This is the Liberty Bowl pregame podcast show, and our special guest today is Trent Steelman, former Army quarterback. He's now Eastern Kentucky's quarterbacks coach, and Trent had to go up against this West Virginia defense in Week 1 of this season, so we're going to talk to Trent about that in a second. We're also hoping to have Dustin Pluminor, captain of the 2001 Army football team, on, and also Steve Anderson is at the stadium, so we're just trying to get Steve live with a little look in to see what Army's going to be, see the little venue and what Army is going to be up against. Trent, I mean, we talked about this a lot in the last couple of weeks, but first, that 2010 Armed Forces Bowl, right? I mean, what's it like as a player to play in a bowl game? I mean, 2020 is a little different, but can you describe your experiences as far as just the environment of a bowl game for an Army football player?
Yeah, I mean, I think the first thing that you just got to get through as a player is just the hype going on during the week. You know, obviously I don't know how they approached this game this year with it being COVID, and if they were able to get down there and do all the bowl festivities and not. I haven't really been following along with that, but for us back in 2010, that was just the biggest thing for us is just keeping focus on what's ahead, and that's winning a football game. Obviously, you got all the festivities leading up to the game and so on and so forth, and that should be enjoyable for the players because, I mean, these opportunities don't come around very often. So you got to sit back and enjoy it, but at the end of the day, you got to understand you got a football game ahead of you, and you got to do what it takes to go win.
Yeah, we were talking about the Josh McNary scoop and score in that game. And also, I mean, Steve mentioned and I mentioned that last pass there just kind of sealed to David Brooks. Is that a memory that kind of is still in your mind pretty fresh, or what can you tell us about that?
Yeah, like it was yesterday. I could still recite the play. But it was just it was very rewardful. I mean, and the fact that obviously we knew where we stood as a football team, and we knew what we were capable of doing, and just given the past of the Army football program, just being able to be in that position and kind of bring the program back to light. I think that was the biggest thing for us, is just understanding that we had done something special no matter the outcome. But at the end of the day, we had a bunch of dudes on that team that were fighters and that were winners, and we knew if we were able to go out there and compete and just wear them down, that at the end of the day, we'd be able to set history.
No doubt. We discussed on a prior podcast the talent that was on that SMU team. I mean, there were eight guys that made the NFL. And, guys that are still playing wide receiver in the NFL, guys who have had pretty long careers, starting tackles in the NFL. So, I mean, you guys were going up against – that SMU team was was a pretty talented bunch, no doubt.
They were. They had talent all over the field. Like you said, they had multiple NFL players, dudes that could really play the game. But, that's what was special about that team. We just had a blue-collar mentality. And honestly, any team that we went up against that year, it was just another jersey and another faceless opponent to us. And that's the mentality that I think, Coach Monken has really, really instilled in this football team, just really riding that underdog and just understanding that these dudes have a different mentality on football and on the game of life, and you can use that.
Yeah, welcome, Dustin, to the pregame show here. We have Trent Steelman. We're talking some 2010 Armed Forces Bowl memories, but now we're going to also talk to Trent about what it's like to prepare against this West Virginia defense. Eastern Kentucky had them in the opener. Just what do they bring to the table? I know they have guys who are going to play on Sundays on this defense, multiple guys that are going to play on Sundays on this defense.
Yeah, just obviously from us scouting them for, actually probably months, just given that we knew we had solidified them on the schedule in the upcoming season. They're very talented up front. They got two brothers that were highly recruited out of high school, had SEC offers, but those up front, they're athletic, they're big, they're strong, they're powerful. But I think in a way, obviously what Army does is gonna present some problems for that defense. But if they're able to control the front and control the bigs up front and just do what they do, I think they'll be able to move the ball a little bit on this team. But like I said, I think the game's going to be won and lost at the line of scrimmage because, like I said, they're talented up front, they're big up front, and they're athletic up front. And they got some dudes that can run around in the secondary. I know with what Army does, it's not going to be a huge factor, so to say. But, if those dudes for West Virginia in the secondary can get aggressive and come up to play, then I think it's going to be a battle. But at the end of the day, I think Army's going to be able to at least present problems with what they do.
It's crazy. The line has gone up to 10 points now in favor of West Virginia. It was 7. It went from 7 to 10. So, I mean, I guess there's a lot of people thinking that this will be, West Virginia might roll in this game. But, I mean, guys, what do you think about you talked about, Trent, just getting the offense going. And if you can stay on the field with the offense and keep Army's defense off the field with some 3-and-outs, I mean, it's pretty much, I think, anybody's game. So,
yeah, I mean, obviously, just given what conference West Virginia plays in, they've never seen anything like what Army is about to bring. And so if Army can just stick to the battle of attrition and just, like I said, do what they do, pound the rock and go 3 yards in a cloud of dust, in the old saying, then I think they have a chance to wear this defense down. It's just a different mindset. As we prepared for the option this year, playing Citadel, that was the biggest thing in terms of preparing our defense. Is just understanding the mindset that every play is a grind, and every play is physical in itself. And if they can get past that in the first series or two, then they got a shot. But if they don't buy into it, then it could be a long day.
No doubt. Just tell us a little bit. You basically have gone home, right, to Eastern Kentucky, and this was your first season that you wrapped up. Talk about the experience that you had going from Jacksonville to Eastern Kentucky and getting back to closer to home to coach.
I'm sorry, you cut out.
Sorry. Just talk about the experience you've had going back home to coach, so to speak, at Eastern Kentucky and what that's been like.
No, it's been awesome. I got a brother and sister in Lexington, so it's about 20 minutes down the road, and then my parents are still in Bowling Green. So, just being able, obviously, to do what I love and have the opportunity to do what I love and spend time with the family. It's been very, very rewardful and just it just seems like one of the biggest blessings in itself. Like I said, I get to coach football for a living, and then having my boys be able to grow up with their cousins and their family and see them on the regular. It's been awesome, and not to mention, I mean, the city of Richmond, the town of Richmond, the program out of Eastern. I mean, it's a story-told program. I mean, it's one of the winningest FCS programs in the history of football, and just being around that and around people and around a town that just loves football. It's been good.
Awesome. Thanks for a few minutes, Trent, today. We really appreciate it. I'm sure you're going to catch the game, no doubt, right, and be watching today?
Yeah. I will be watching.
Awesome, man. Thanks a lot for a few minutes, and all the best down the road at Eastern Kentucky.
I appreciate it, Sal. It's good talking to you, buddy.
Now we'll bring in Dustin Plumbing. How's it going, Dustin?
Going great. How you doing, Sal?
I'm good. Just today's matchup. I mean, we look at this bowl game and it's finally here, right? When after the Air Force game, a day after the Air Force game, we don't know if Army's even going to be able to play in a bowl game. And now they have this matchup against Western Virginia. What are you most excited about for this matchup against West Virginia?
I mean, for the guys playing, the guys who showed up this season, a lot of schools, a lot of kids didn't show up. A lot of them took that option to go home, and that's their choice. But I'm proud of the kids of the guys for showing up to actually play a full season, for coming in, for committing to it. I mean, there's no guarantee that the season would last past the first week, right? We were all kind of wondering what might happen. Maybe something might pop up. Maybe each opponent would start having its issues similar to what BYU and Air Force had. There was no telling when the season was going to end, but these guys were all in it from the start. They played meaningful games every step along the way, played their best ball every chance they got. We suffered 2 losses against decent teams, one of them a very good team who arguably was in the playoff conversation. I I think it was a great season, and these guys really showed up. I think this senior class has got a lot to be proud of. If they win this game, that's an average of 9 wins per season over the course of their career, which is it's just absolutely unheard of, right? I mean, you think back to you got the era that these guys helped usher in. Myself, my class, we were kind of we failed to usher that in, right? We were there for that first transition, and it didn't pan out. And to have had the success that they had, I mean, I'm envious but proud and really happy for them, and grateful that the right staff came along at the right time, the right combination of coaches, right combination of players, with the right attitude, the right personality, and just everything. It's just awesome to see them get this game. I was talking with Mike Vitti texting with him. He was one of my close friends after the Air Force game, and looked like the bowl game was falling apart. And I said something to the effect of, be proud of this season. You guys have accomplished a lot. That's cool. These guys get to go home and see their families they haven't seen. They've earned it. Silence. And usually he'll respond back, right? He's one of my brothers. And to me, that said something. I was like, oh, okay. And I started thinking more and more about it. I was like, you know what? Something's going to happen. These teams is going to have to back out, and there's going to be an opportunity for Army to play. Good on these seniors and that class for just saying, no, yeah, it's a holiday. Yeah, we're on campus, but we're going to wait this out and see what opportunity comes our way. And sure enough, here it is, Liberty Bowl. This is the bowl that we all chased when we were in Conference USA and never made it to. We had every holiday season. I think the CUSA champion had the tie-in for the Liberty Bowl.
Wow.
It was like Southern Miss, Memphis, teams that saw a lot of success during that era. Louisville, but never us, right? We were never part of it. And here they are. Like they did what we couldn't do, and just grateful for the types of guys we got there right now.
Yeah, it's kind of to think that Army's playing in his 4th bowl game in the last 5 years, and even going back to Trent's days, that 2010 bowl, that's 5 in the course of late 10 or 11 seasons. I think that 2010 team should always be remembered as a team that kind of started to get the winning feeling back in the program. And now you look at what Coach Monken's done, and people could say, well, look at the schedules and that kind of stuff. You play who's in front of you, and you play who you can get on your schedule during a pandemic year. You look at the Georgia Southern team. That Sun Belt Conference is a pretty competitive conference to play in. I know it's not a Power 5 team, but they played right with Coastal Carolina, who had a great season. So you look at just everything they've got done to this point to overcome, right?
I'll tell you. Having played in a conference, a very difficult one. The Conference USA was very difficult in the era we were there, where 90% of the defensive players that started for some of those schools, like Memphis and Southern Miss, went on to the NFL. They were chock full of talent. It was like playing an SEC program, a mid-level SEC program every week. And so the talent, we've played good teams, but these guys are playing good teams too. And they're playing, I think the biggest knock on going to a conference is that somehow they're going to catch on and how to defend the option. And it's just not true, because year in, year out, it changes. Year in, year out, offenses, defenses change. Institutional knowledge is very rarely carried over in a lot of programs because there is so much turnover. And obviously players graduate. So not a lot is retained that's going to really help teams year to year to year, other than get prepared to get your butt whooped, stick your nose in the dirt, fight these guys, fight the run, fight the option, play assignment football. But just because you did it the year before, you had experience with it, doesn't mean you're going to be any more successful the next year. So I think we played some quality teams. I think that the argument that Navy and Air Force graduates probably will sing the loudest about is this whole conference not a conference thing, as to why our record is the way it is. Our record's the way it is because the guys showed up and they played, and that's something to be proud of. I don't see it. I think this year we saw the downside, obviously, of not being a conference is bowl tie-ins. It's a very rare, once in a lifetime circumstance where it didn't pan out for us. But otherwise, I think having the freedom to schedule who we want to play, where we want to play them, so that players can be close to their families, wherever they might be from, get an opportunity to play in front of Texas fans in the Southeast, sometimes fans in the West Coast. It's worth it, in my opinion. I think to have that kind of control over our future and to have the matchups we want to have.
Yeah, I was looking at like this is an opportunity to play a Power 5 school, which this year, unfortunately with Oklahoma, you didn't get a chance to play Oklahoma. That game was certainly being looked forward to for years. And you look at this in the recent Monken era, they really played these Power 5s pretty tough, going at Oklahoma into overtime, going to Michigan in overtime. So maybe this is a chance. I was right, and maybe this is a chance for the senior class to get that kind of no doubt the Navy and Air Force wins are signature wins, but this is more of could be a signature win for this program, more on the national level, and people can see maybe this team deserves. I know maybe the coaches and the players don't care about this much, but deserves to be considered a top 25 team this season.
I think that's one of their team goals, I think. I think it's something they care about, but I think you're absolutely right in trying to get that marquee win against a recognized, established Power 5 team. It's something we've hunted after for a very long time. We were heartbroken my freshman year when we lost to Notre Dame on a last-second field goal. We've all wanted that, and we've come up so close so many years. We played Ohio State really tough just a few years back under Coach Monken, and people forget about that one, right? Mm-hmm. We've been knocking at the door for this for a very long time. And yeah, we'll beat a Wake Forest on occasion, a Duke, but the kind of the traditional power programs, obviously a top 5, something like that we'd love to knock off, but this counts. This is a very good program with a great tradition. These kids deserve that shot. I mean, they've earned it, right? They've showed up. They've been here. They've been playing all year in the face of something that none of us ever imagined. They deserve this, and if they get this win, amazing. Like what icing on the cake could you ask for to be any better than that for these guys?
No doubt. On the field, what's impressed you about this team this year so far?
Making their own luck. I think one thing that we always struggled with in my years, whether it was to run the option or the spread, was turnovers. And a lot of times the ball would just bounce the wrong way. You got to make your own luck. I think that the turnover battle is obviously highly important, but at the same time, we make our own breaks. You saw that in the Navy game where we kept their turnover and they missed out on ours. I mean, those are game-changing moments. I think that's something that this team's done well with. And Trent's team in 2010, they really stood out against the teams that they were on either side of them because that turnover ratio, the breaks were on their side because they made it happen. That was the key difference for them versus the other years that those guys played, and they saw the success of that. My teams, we unfortunately never could hang on to the rock as well as we needed to and get those breaks as much, make them for ourselves as much as we needed to. These guys do that, and the weeks they don't, it doesn't work out for them. The weeks they do, they're on it. I think the other big key, I think Trent hit on it, is the line of scrimmage. You can tell with an option team, I feel like during the first couple series, how well they're going to do in each half based on where their heels end up at the end of each play. Are they moving that line of scrimmage forward? If the line of scrimmage moves even just a yard forward from the start of the play to the end of the play, they're probably gaining 3 or 4 yards a pop. And if they're doing that, then yeah, it's going to be a very good day. I think if we happen to come out against this team and they're playing a defense similar to what Houston did a few years ago, where they're playing 3 yards off the ball and giving us that buffer, it's going to be a long day for them, right? So yeah. I think that's one of the first things I always look for whenever an option team's playing is how's that line of scrimmage moving? And I think defensively as well, I think we've got a fantastic nose guard who's been playing lights out his last couple of games. Looked remarkable, single-handedly shut down the run against Navy just by owning the Navy offensive interior. Assuming everyone's healthy, assuming that there's something else this team's been very good at, or Coach Monken's been good at, is not letting the word out on injuries or COVID protocol. We don't know who's going to be there week to week. Something like 50 guys are out against Navy or some crazy thing. Who knows? But hopefully the last 2 weeks have given us a chance to heal up and be quarantined long enough to get our best team out there and the best guys out there.
Yeah, people are asking me who's going to be the starting quarterback. Today it will be Tyler, will be Christian Anderson. Not being on site, I don't really, I can't give you that answer. I can probably say that if Tyre is healthy, I think he could be the starting quarterback only because Dustin, the last couple of weeks, the chunk plays haven't been there, right? I mean, they really haven't had the chunk.
We're not running much triple option. Everyone's preparing and talking about the triple, but we really haven't run it this year. We haven't run it the last couple of years. I think we've run it since Kelvin left, really. He was the last one to really run the true triple week to week. And that, to some degree, that reduces the number of weapons at our disposal, but at the same time, it also simplifies our task. And we've got a hell of an offensive line with a lot of talent. We have a fullback room that's 4 deep with NFL talent and has been for the last 5 years. I don't know any other program other than maybe Alabama who's had that in any position room at any given time. Yeah. It's remarkable. We have a lot of talent there that that goes to our strengths. So you see a lot of power running throughout this season, and offensive linemen love it, fullbacks love it. I think Army fans love it. It's something we've always prided ourselves on. These guys can do it. So I think maybe we'll see some triple. Maybe in a couple of weeks, and the guys are healthy enough, we'll see a little something different. But for Tyre, obviously he hasn't been in the quarterback position as long as the others. It may not be something we go to with him.
Yeah, I look at you always want the offense. Obviously, you want to hold the ball as much as you can on your early drives. And I'm looking for something different, right? Because I can pretty much guarantee almost the first play Army's going to run, if Sandon McCoy's in the backfield, they're going to run a fullback dive just to test the line out, right? Most of the time. But I'm thinking, why not? If he's healthy and he's ready to go, Anthony Atkins needs to be a factor in this game because he's just different. He's just a little bit more athletic than possibly the other fullbacks, and he can get out in space and break off a run. And I think that they're going to need a chunk run from the fullback position in this game just to keep drives going. Yeah, you like going 3, 3, and 3, but what happens on 4th and 2? No doubt Coach Monken's going to go for it. And and it'll probably be close to midfield, or where if you don't get it, then that's going to turn the tide of the game. So I think they really have to get establish the fullback, but also try to get. I think Atkins needs to be a factor in
get in the hands of multiple guys in the fullback room, because like the war horses, as Mike calls them. I mean, they are right 4 deep of talent between Cade, Jacoby, Anthony, Sandon. I mean, just those 4 alone, fantastic players. And there's more in that room ready to go. Like the stand-up mentality is ready to go. But I think, yes, establish the fullback early, rotate him through, keep him fresh, keep him healthy, and just slice these guys any possible way we can. A lot of counters, a lot of power runs, keep them guessing, keep the defensive linemen, a little more flat-footed, trying to read whatever they can read, and knock them back. I think we're going to see some if we show up, which we haven't always, but when we do, which has been more often than not, way more often than not under Coach Monken, I think you see a really good run game. You see the fullback established. You see an offensive line frothing at the mouth. And that's just one side of the ball, right? I mean, my God, the defense has been lights out this year. Just fantastic. Couldn't ask for better. So
it was like the defense kind of unexpected, with the losses that you had on defense and what you were bringing back, and you have a first-year coordinator, and you just have guys that are just playing their responsibilities, not being too cute about it, just going out there. You talked about Nolan Cockrell clogging up the middle. We talk about Radigan and Eric Smith being the inside backers. Man, they just have it. Those guys are pretty consistent every year. You have 2 good, solid inside linebackers, and the secondary, has been kind of banged up, or guys not being able to play in and out. And you have guys like Cam Jones really stepping up and doing a good job. Those safeties have been consistent, Broughton and Cunningham. That helps. The corners have been shifting on and off, but Jabari Moore is a player, and they go opposite. You go Julian McDuffie, you can go Jabari Bordeaux, you can go Cam Jones. They're deep there too. I want to ask you about this as an offensive lineman. We were on a podcast with the 95 team, and there was some talk about first play just going to cut the entire just cutting everybody on the first play just to give them a little bit of a feel what they're going to be at going up against today. I mean, only one guy can be called for a penalty, right? I guess if they call. But I mean, what do you think about that kind of a attitude or strategy to start the game off?
Yeah, I think going back, like Coach Ellerson, I think one of his mantras that made sense to me partially was that he could take a defensive lineman and make it into an offensive lineman, and he liked doing that. I don't think body type you can do it, but certainly mentality. I think that's the difference between an offensive lineman and a triple option, or a run-based offense versus a more traditional passing offense. You got to be way more aggressive. You got to be on your toes, moving forward, 1,000% animal. Like an offensive lineman in a passing offense is much more of a passive-aggressive type thing where it's, come towards me and I'm going to blast you. This is very different. This is, coming after you, coming to kill you, coming to hurt you. If our offensive line shows up like that, and we always try to when we played, firing off the ball in the first play, looking to just knock someone out every single play of the game, and it can maintain that level of intensity, it's going to be a great day for us.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. You know, that's obviously. I know you and obviously me. We'll be watching that offensive line. Sometimes those guys don't get enough credit. They don't want any credit really. They just want to move the ball and win, right? I mean, you look at they have 3 seniors on that offensive line.
And good
Really,
players.
really
It's not their culture to want the credit in that room. That's what's very unique about them. And it's very blue collar. They match the fullback room in terms of mentality, and you got to love that about them. Just great guys, hardworking, salt of the earth. It's a blue collar, roll your sleeves up and let's go. And I've been very impressed with those guys. They've had they have turnover and rotations, and this year's been. Last year it was injuries. This year was for different reasons. But when they show up, and there's some guys. There's some real dogs in that room. Some guys that show up, and you see it every play. Dean Powell being one of them, one of my favorites to watch. Because when he comes in, the kid comes in hard. He changes the pace of the game and the pace of that unit. And you got to love that when it's not just the starting 5 who can fire up the group or who can make a difference like that. Some great talent, big bodies, rangy bodies, the types of bodies you'll see in Power 5 locker rooms walking around. We've got them.
Yeah, it's crazy because the guys that are younger coming up, like a Jordan Booby Law or a Connor Finucane, those are guys.
Hugely impressed with Jordan to come in. I mean, that's a guy who violent. He jumps off the screen at you. You see some of the things he does, and he's like, whoa, where did this guy come from? He's out there just smacking guys, going up to the second level and looking for hunting, just hunting, head hunting, looking for somebody just to take out and knock on their tail. You gotta love that. And when the guys show up like that, those are our best games. When we lack that, we don't do as well.
I think that, looking at Jordan Law, he has the potential to be he has the body frame to be almost like a Brett Toth from a couple of years back, Brett Toth was a smart guy. He was always a guy that can get to the second level and knock people down. And I think that only a freshman, wow. And like he's gotten put in some pretty pressured situations. Look at last game against Air Force. He went the distance. He didn't take a step off, so.
No. And you never know with guys in that age range, especially a school like West Point. Some of those guys, their eating habits change, their living habits change, their training habits change, and they can do look exactly like Brett Toth, where they start very scrawny compared to what they end up looking like, right? And he could be one of them, and he's a growing boy. We'll see what he ends up being and see how they all develop. But there's a lot of talent there, a lot of talent in that room, and a lot of great guys.
Yeah, I think Jordan Law was a center in high school, and I think he might have even played a little center at the prep school last year too. So he's had to maybe move to a different position, but definitely been effective. Overall, what do you see? What's kind of a prediction, or how you see this game playing out? Do you think that Army's going to be able to, because West Virginia, we talked about their defense, and their offense is no joke either. They have a running back that's close to 1,000 yards in 9 games, and they kind of spread out. They're a little bit multiple. They're not going to run 7. They can throw it too. Their quarterback's been pretty accurate this year, so.
I can't make predictions on score. I never like doing that because I'm almost always wrong. But it also really depends on who shows up, who's going to be able to play, and then how healthy we are. We'll see how we show up. I think we'll show up well, and the guys will be ready to play. I think we're going to end up. I think we'll win the game. I feel very strongly about that. But I think it could be a shootout like OU, or it could be maybe not a Houston, but something more comfortable where. We catch him flat-footed. We catch him maybe not wanting to go to distance with us. But I don't think it's going to be an issue of our guys not showing up as a matter of desire. I don't think we're going to see that. And I don't think it's going to be something like we saw with Michigan, where we were just about there, but a little bit flat in some areas and just couldn't close the deal. I think today will be different. We've shown these guys have already demonstrated the ability to do that. So I've a very positive outlook for today. I'm getting the tequila ready, in fact, to celebrate with some of the guys. So
yeah, you look at the last 3 wins. I mean, all that have been decided late fourth quarter. They use fourth quarter warriors. They've been known as in the past, and they're just, if they can get to the fourth quarter with the game close, we got to think that they're going to be able to find a way to pull out this game. So really appreciate you hopping on, Dustin, for a few minutes, and Black Knight Nation here. We'll have a post-game show after the game. Also have a post-game podcast. I'll be tweeting away once the game starts, and you can follow us all over the social media platforms on Facebook. We're on Facebook, yes. We're on Twitter, we're on Instagram, and we're on every single audio stream you can think of. So we're on Spotify now. We're getting the word out there. Really appreciate you popping on, Dustin, and we'll get you back on soon to talk about some Black Knights football.
Sounds good. Next time, don't let me follow somebody as established as Trent in the world of football, though. All right, you're gonna make me look like a fool with some of his level of knowledge here. Awesome.
Right on, man.
Love talking to you, buddy.
Thanks, man.
Thank you for listening to the Black Knight Nation podcast with your host, Sal Interdonato. For more information on your Army Black Knights, visit blackknightnation.com.